lovely people. Welcome to Vap Fashion's YouTube channel. My name is Eunice. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. If this is your first time on my channel, please kindly click on the subscribe button to subscribe and ensure to put on your notification bell so you get a notification every time I upload a new video. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. Thank you. In this video, we're going to be learning how to make this beautiful gown you see right here on the mannequin. This is like a Senegalese gown. It's a combination of lace and Ankara fabric. The down part has a 180 flare and the sleeve has a 360 flare attached to the hem of the basic sleeve. Like I said, it's a combination of lace and Ankara, and you can see I have the Ankara placed on the lace, giving it that Senegalese effect. It is really beautiful and it's simple to make. If this is something you are interested in learning, please make sure to keep on watching till the end. Thank you, and let's get right into the video.
I'll be making use of this Ankara fabric. Here I have 6 yards of Ankara. I'll be combining it with this cord lace. So the measurements needed for this gown is the shoulder measurement, the bust measurement, the waist measurement, your hip measurement, and the full length of the gown. Because this gown is going to have a flare at the down part, so you need the measurement from the shoulder to the knee point where the flare will start from. And then you also need the length of the flare. So to get started, I'm going to fold my fabric. I'll be drafting on the Ankara fabric. I'll be starting with the back first. Yeah. So here I've folded my fabric that I'll be using to draft. I'll be drafting the back first because we're going to use the back to get the front. Since I'm using an Ankara fabric at the back and the front is lace, so I don't want to mark on my lace, and this is so that we can see clearly what I am doing. So here my fabric is folded already. I use the biggest circumference to determine the amount of fabric to fold, and the biggest circumference I'm working with is the hip, and the hip circumference I'm working with here is 52 inches. So 52 divided by 4, that gave me 13 inches, plus my 2 inches for sewing allowance, that's 15, plus 1.5 inches for my zip allowance, so that's a total of 16.5. So what I have here is wide enough to give me the measurement we are working with. Okay, so use your own measurements. This method will work for both small and big, medium, whatever size you are. So first I went ahead to draw the starting line. The next thing I'm going ahead to do is to mark the chest line. So placing the tape from the starting line, which is the shoulder line, I'm marking the chest line. Next I'm going to mark the waistline. So from shoulder to waist is 18 inches. Next, I'm going to mark the gown length. We are going to have a flare at the down part of this gown. So from shoulder to the knee point is what I am marking right now. Okay, and that is 43 inches. So I'll add half inch to that measurement for joining the flare. So that will be 43.5. So I'll mark on 43.5. So right now I'll go ahead and straighten out all the lines. I haven't marked out all the lines. Then from this folded part, I'm going to come in by 1.5 inches, which is for the zip allowance. So I'm coming in by 1.5 for the zip allowance. So now we have our zip allowance, which is this line. So all measurements will start from this point. This is now the center back. So here on the shoulder line, I'm going to mark the shoulder measurement of my client divided by 2 plus half inch. This half inch is for joining the sleeve, so I've marked it here. And then I'll also mark the neck width. I'll be working with a neck width of 4 inches, so I'll mark 4 inches here. So at this shoulder measurement, I'll come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slant. I'm going to use my straight ruler to connect the point. So here on the chest line, I'm going to mark the shoulder measurement divided by 2 also, plus half inch. And this is it at this point. So I'll use my straight ruler to connect to the shoulder line. So now this is the armhole line. Okay, so next I'll get the midpoint of the armhole line by placing my tape like this, and I'll fold my tape into two, and this is the midpoint. At the midpoint here, I'm going to go in by ½ inch first, and then I'll connect this ½ inch to the shoulder tip, and then to curve the armhole, I'm going to enter the bust measurement divided by 4 on the chest line. So I'm going to curve the armhole. So now this is the back armhole. So the next thing I'm going to do, still at this midpoint, I will go in by 3/4 of an inch. So this is for the front armhole. We're just doing this for formalities because on the front armhole, which is the lace fabric, we're going to go in by 1/4 inch. But this is so that you understand what I'm doing. That is why I'm doing this. So at this 3/4 inch I have here, I'm going to connect to the shoulder tip, and then I'll also curve the armhole. So this is basically the back armhole, and then this is the front armhole. So that's that. So next I'm going to enter all the horizontal measurements. So on the chest line here, I have the bust measurement already divided by 4, which is 13. So plus 2 inches for my sewing allowance. Normally I add 2 inches. 2 inches is the sewing allowance. I'll stitch on 1 inch. The remaining 1 inch is for ease, okay? So that's why I'm using 2 inches. So here on the waistline, the waist measurement divided by 4, I will mark it here and also enter 2 inches for sewing allowance. Then on the hip line, I didn't mark the hip line. So from shoulder to hip line is 27 inches, and I'll mark it here at this point. So this is now our hip line. So the hip divided by 4, I will mark it here as well. Then plus 2 inches also. So what I have on the hip line here is exactly what I'll enter on the full length. That's at the length of the gown here. So I'm just going to take the measurement I have here and bring it down here because it's going to be straight from the hip down to the hem here. So this is it. So I'll bring in my straight ruler and connect the points. So here we are. So just blend in any sharp curves you have. So this is it. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to take out zipper bulge. So on the waistline, this is the waistline, I'm going to come in by 1 inch. Normally I come in by ½ inch, but this gown is a free gown. So the more you tighten the back, the less bulge you have. ½ inch does not do justice when you are making a free gown. It will still have some small bulge, okay? So to avoid any kind of bulge, you're going to have to take out 1 inch entirely. This is so that the gown sits well at the back because it's a free gown. So I came in by 1 inch from the center back here on the waistline. I'll bring in my straight ruler and connect it to the shoulder. That's to the starting point here. This is it. And now this is the hip line here. You see, on the hip line, I will go up by 1 inch. I'll go up by 1 inch, and then I will connect like this also. So you can see this is how to take out your zipper bulge. So I'll be cutting out this. You can see that the zipper bulge did not get to the hip line. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do now is to mark the neck depth. So the back neck depth is going to be 2 inches. So I'll mark 2 inches here. I already have the neck width of 4 inches. So I'll bring in my pattern master and connect the neckline. So this is our back neckline. So we are done drafting the back piece. So we're going to cut it out right away. So I'll be starting with the armhole. I'll be cutting on the back armhole, which is the first one. To the zip allowance, you want to do that also. So I'm cutting out the zipper bulge. This will help you to avoid any form of zipper bulge. So this is it. So next I'm going to go ahead and cut out the length here. What our back looks like. So like I earlier said that we're going to use the back to get the front. So now I'm going to fold in this zip allowance because we're not going to have a zip allowance at the front. So I'm going to fold it in so that it starts exactly at the center back. So here, I'm going to use my pressing iron and press it down. Okay, so having folded it, I'll bring in the lace fabric and we'll cut out. So as you can see, I've folded my lace. You can see, and I'm making sure that the center front aligns with the center back. So this is what we have here. So now all I need to do is to trace out exactly the same thing. Just cut out exactly the same thing before we alter the front neckline and the front armhole. Okay. So now I'll separate the front from the back. So remember I said that the front armhole, we need to go in more by 1/4 inch. Already we went in by 1/2 inch for the back. So for the front, it's extra 1/4 inch to make it 3/4. So I'm just going to trim out that extra 1/4 inch because the front armhole is deeper than the back armhole. You see? So I've done that and we have our front armhole. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to mark the front neck depth. Already I used the neck depth of 2 inches for the back, which is what I have here. For the front, I'm going to be using a neck depth of 7 inches. So here is where my 7 inches ends. Take note that I'm placing my tape from minus the back neckline, which is already 2 inches. You don't want to place it from here because if you place it from here and mark 7 inches, that means you're using 9 inches. So I'm placing it from -2 so that I mark exactly on my 7 inches. So I'll bring in my curve and connect it. We want to have a V neckline. So I'm working with the same neck width, of course. So I'll just connect it to this point. Just watch what I'm doing because this is a white lace. I don't want to stain it. So this is what our V neckline will look like. So this is what our front neckline looks like. It's a V neckline. Okay. So the next thing now we're going to do is to cut the flare that we're going to have at the down part before we start cutting out the Ankara patches we'll have on the neckline. And to cut the flare, this is the measurement I need. The measurement I have here at the hem of the gown. Measure here. On fold here, I have 15 inches exactly. I'm going to be subtracting 1 inch, which is the side seam allowance I said I'll be stitching with. So 15 minus 1, that will give us 14 inches. And take note that is on fold, so that's 28 inches. Okay, so here I have 28 inches in front. I will have the same 28 inches at the back also. So for the back also, we are not going to, we're going to close our zip allowance, close the side before fixing the flare. So that's 28 in front, 28 at the back. So which is 28 times 2, and that's 56. So this 56 inches, I'm going to divide 56 by 3.14 because we're going to have a 180 flare at the down part. So 56 divided by 3.14, that will give me 17.8. So the next thing now you want to do is to get the length of the flare. And the length of the flare is going to be the full length minus what we have at the upper part. Now, very simple. Let's keep the 17.8 aside. So the full length of my client's gown length is 63 inches. So 63 minus what we have up here. And here we already have 43 inches. So 63 minus 43, that will give us 20 inches. So that means the length of the flare we are looking for is 20 inches. Okay? So plus 1 inch for our hemming allowance. We need 1/2 inch at the top and 1/2 inch at the down part. So that's plus 1 inch. So that's 21 inches. Okay? So 21 inches plus the radius we got, which is 17.8. So I'll say plus 17.8. So that's 38.8. So we can approximate it to 39 inches. So in total, we're looking for 39 inches for the flare. Ankara fabric, and this is the savage here. So on the savage here, I'm going to measure 39 inches. Measure 39 inches. So this is 39 inches here at this point. Once I have 39 inches, I will fold it over. So by folding it over, I'm now going to have 39 inches in 2 places. So you can see I've folded it over, and this is my 39 inches. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now is to fold it in a triangular form. So I'm going to hold it like this and then fold it to form a triangle shape. This is the regular way we cut our 180 flare. If you have been seeing my videos by now, you should understand what I am doing already. So here my fabric is folded in a triangular shape. So from the apex of the triangle, I will come down by the radius I got, which is 17.8. So I'll mark here on 17.8. If you're marking on 17 and 3/4, is 17.8 already, okay? So I'm marking on 17 and 3/4, and this is it. So having marked it, the next thing I'm going to do now is to mark the length of the flare, which is 21 inches plus the hemming allowance. So I'll place my tape also from this point now and mark 21 inches. You can decide to place the tape from the beginning here and mark on that 39 inches. It will still be the same thing. Okay? So here I'm just placing and marking on 21 inches. So 21 inches, 21 inches, and this is it. I'm cutting out the radius first. This is what our flare looks like that we're going to have at the down part of the gown. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now is to cut out the basic sleeve. I won't be showing us how to cut the basic sleeve. I'll be dropping the link in the description box on how to draft and cut a basic sleeve if you don't know how to do that. So I'll cut out the basic sleeve and I'll show us how to cut the flare we're going to have at the down part of the basic sleeve. Cut out the basic sleeves, and this is what we have. So the next thing I'm going to do is to cut out the 360 flare that we're going to have at the hem of this sleeve. And to do that, you need the round elbow measurement. This sleeve is going to start, the flare is going to start just a little above the round elbow measurement. And for my client, her round, the measurement of that area is 15 inches. So I'm going to divide 15 by 6.28. 15 divided by 6.28 because it is a 360 flare. And that gave me 2.3. So the next thing I'm going to do is to know the length of the flare. So for the length of the flare, the total length of the sleeve is 18 inches. And here already I have the sleeve length of 10 inches. And you see I have a sleeve length of 10 inches. I'm going to use half inch to join it to the shoulder, and I'm going to use half inch to join it to the flare. So that means I have 9 inches. And I said that the length of the sleeve is it's supposed to be 18 inches. So I'm going to subtract these 9 inches that I have already. So that will leave me with extra 9 inches. That's to leave me with 9 inches now. So the length of the flare is going to be 9 inches plus 1 inch for hemming the down part and then also joining it to the upper part. So that's 10 inches. So I'm using half inch at the down part, half inch at the upper part. So that's plus 10 inches. So I'm adding 10 inches to the radius of 2.3 that I have here. So the total length of the sleeve of the flare is going to be 12.3, which is 12 and quarter. So I'll bring in my leftover Ankara fabric and I'll fold it this way. Now I'm going to measure 12 and quarter. So I can do 12.5 so that I just fold it well. So this is 12.5 now, and then I'll fold it. Can you see? I'm folding it into two. So I have 12.5 in two places. So I haven't folded like this. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to fold it again this way. So that means I'm folding into four, and I have 12.5 in four places. The radius here from this folded point where all the 4 points meet, this apex here. I'm going to mark 12. I'm going to mark 2 and quarter here. 2 and quarter, 2 and quarter, 2 and quarter. So this is it. So now that we have our 2 and quarter inch, next I'm going to measure the length of the flare, which is 10 inches plus sewing allowance. So I'm measuring 10 inches, 10 inches, and 10 inches here. So this is our flare, our 360 flare. So I'll go ahead and cut it out. So here we are. So this is what our flare looks like. I'm not going to be slashing this flare open. I want it to just be rounded. Don't want to stitch it on the side. So here, these folded parts, I'm going to notch them. That's where I have these two parts opened like this. And you see, I'm just going to notch them. So I'm going to cut the second flare. I'll repeat exactly the same thing I have done here, and then I'll show us the next thing to do. Second flare, and this is it. So I'm just going to drop it aside. So the next thing now I'm going to do is to cut the facing. This facing is going to be a V shape that will appear in front of the gown. Okay, before we now cut out the strips we're going to have at the on the body of the lace. So I'm just going to fold my lace into two. Now this is the fabric I'm going to use. This is the leftover that came out from the 180 flare I cut. So I'm just going to fold it into two like this, and then I'll bring in the lace and also fold it into two. Okay, so this is what our facing is going to look like. We're going to have it in front. You see? So to achieve it in front, it means that I'll have to sew it from the back, that's from the wrong side of the fabric, so that we can now bring it out in front. Okay, so we're just going to leave this for now. We're going to be doing this later. So the next thing we want to do now is to create the V shape we're going to have, the Ankara patches we're going to have in front of this gown. And to do that, I have already gone ahead to cut out some strips of fabric. I just cut it out from my leftover, that's from the parts that we cut out the gown from. So here is my fabric. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'll just divide them into two. You want to make sure that whatever it is you're cutting out is wide enough to cover the body of the gown. Now, this is what I mean. This measurement I have here, which is far more than what we actually need, and you see this is about 33 inches, so the V will come out well. Okay, so now that we have this, the next thing I'm going to do is to fold half inch on both sides of this fabric. You want to fold in half inch, just tuck in half inch like this. I'll fold in half inch too on the down part. I'll repeat the same thing for the second side to do now. So the side I folded is the wrong side on both sides. So now I'm placing it right side facing right side. You see? Right side facing right side. And then I'm going to draw a V shape, just like a slanted shape. So to do that, I'm just going to come on the side here at this part. I will go up by 4.5 inches. So I'll mark 4.5 inches, and then I'll slant it like this. Can you see? So I'll slant it like this. So let's pin it so that we'll understand what I'm trying to do. Okay, so now I'm going to stitch on this slanted line like this. So by the time I stitch on the slanted line, of course I'm going to cut out the excess, that's what I don't need. So can you see how I already formed the V shape? Can you see? So I'm going to do this for several of them. I'll do about 5 to 6 of them, and then I'll show us how we'll be placing it on the gown. So I'm done stitching the strips. I'm done joining them. So let me open it up so that we'll see what we have. So you can see it's forming the V shape. And you see we have our V shape now. So I'm going to cut out this excess that we don't need here. I'm going to cut as close as half inch. So after cutting it out, this is what I have. And you see? So I'll bring in my pressing iron and press the seam line open. So having pressed it open, this is it. So now you can see that I already have the facing that we're going to have in front of the gown here already. So from this point where I have the facing, I will come down by 5 inches. You see? From this point, this is 5 inches, and this here is the middle. So you want to make sure that it's centralized. I can see my crease line. This is my crease line, the center line, okay? So I'm just going to place it like this. And you see how I'm opening it up to form the V shape. So let's still measure and confirm what I have here. I have the same 5 inches. Can you see that? So I'll bring in my iron and press it down. You want to make sure that it is centralized and it is well relaxed. So this is it. So I'm going to be needing my hemming gum. So I'm going to use the hemming gum to keep the fabric down in place. So I'll place the hemming gum underneath the Ankara fabric like this. Then I'm going to steam press it. You need a lot of steam in this case. This is so that it can stick to the fabric before we go ahead and top stitch it. So at this point where it's a bit sharp, that I have this sticking out, all I need to do is to notch it. That's just cut out this excess I have here. So that what I have is exactly the fabric. That's exactly the V shape. And you see? So I've cut out that excess there. So you want to confirm what you have here on this part of the armhole from shoulder to where the fabric stops. I have 6.5. I will also confirm it. You want to make sure that it's the same 6.5 that we have here. And this is it here. I have the same 6.5. So I'm going to place the second one. I'll also come down by 5 inches and place the second one. I'll do the same thing for the third one till I get to the end. Then I'll show us the next thing to do. So as you can see, I'm done placing all the strips, and this is what we have. You can see how beautiful it's coming out already. So this is our facing. So what I went ahead to do was just to iron the down part of the facing. I folded in by 1/4 of an inch, and this is it. So for the facing, I'm going to place it on the wrong side of the outfit. So I'm placing right side of the facing wrong side of the gown. Please take note of what I just said. Right side of the facing the wrong side of the neckline. This is so that by the time we are done sewing and we turn it to the other side, that's to the right side of the lace, the right side will now be the one to appear in front. Do you see? So I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and then stitch it this way on 1/2 inch like this. So after stitching, I'm going to now flip it to the right side. Can you see? So by the time I flip it to the right side, so this will now be the right side I'll be showing here. Can you see? And I'll be the one showing here, and then I'm going to top stitch it like I'm going to do for the others. So after stitching, I'm going to notch the V shape I have here. You want to notch it and press it, then top stitch it like this to get that V shape. You see? I'll do it, top stitch it, starting from this side, top stitch it this way, and then take it this way. So I'll repeat the same thing on all the strips. Top stitch this way, you get this way. I'll repeat it for all of them all the way to the end, and I'll come back and show us the next thing to do. So I'm done stitching the facing, and this is what I have. And see, and I've pressed it and everything is looking all nice. And this is what it looks like on the wrong side. You see? So the next thing I'm going to do now, this is the back. So for the back, I also went ahead to stitch the zipper to the center back. You see, these are zipper at the center back. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to cut the facing for the back. So to cut the facing for the back, I'm just going to open this. You can cut this facing even before sewing the zipper to the neckline. So this is what I'm going to do. I'll place my leftover fabric. The fabric is into two. This is the leftover fabric we got from the flare. So I'm going to place it this way. And then first I'm going to trim out this excess of the zipper, and then I will trace out the neckline using my scissors. This is what we have here. So this is the right side of my fabric. I'm going to place the facing on the right side like this, and I'll stitch the neckline. I'll repeat the same thing on the other side by placing the facing on the right side. You want to open up the zip allowance because it's part of it. So I'll place it this way also, and then I will stitch it. I'm going to trim out the excess zipper I have here. So after doing that, I'm going to weave the facing, and then I'll join the front shoulders and the back shoulder together. I'll join them together, stitch the sleeve to the armhole. Okay, this is our gown. As you can see, I've joined the shoulders, and this is what we have. I've also stitched the sleeves to the armhole. This is it. And then I went ahead to shape the gown. So I coupled it. So now it's time for us to attach the flare to the sleeves and to the hem here. So here is our flare, our 360 flare. Can you see? I've stitched the crinoline to it, so it's giving it that bouncy look. So remember I said I wasn't going to slash the 360 flare. So now I'll bring in the sleeve like this. So take note that this is the right size of the right side of the flare. So I'll place it this way. I'll wear it over the sleeve. See, this is also the right side of my gown. So I'll place it. So the point I notched, where is the point I notched? This point that I notched, which is the midpoint, is the part that will align, that will be on the center here, and then one will be on this side. This is what our flare sleeve will look like when I'm done sewing. So I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and sew it round. So exactly what I have done here, I'll repeat for the other sleeve, and I'll do the same thing for the down part. I'll also attach the flare to the down part. I'll go stitch all of them and come back and show us what we have. Okay, so this is what our gown looks like after sewing the flare sleeves. You see how nice the circle is. So there is no joining anywhere on the flare, and it's coming out very beautiful. This is it also on this side. Can you see? And then I went ahead to sew the flare to the down part. You'll notice that I have some patches I cut out from the lace, the fabric. I just cut out from the leftover, and then I just placed it here. And see how it added to the beauty. I also went ahead to stitch the flare to the down part, and I wove it. You can see it's woven already, and it's all coming out very neat and beautiful. Here on the chest area, can see I also placed one of the patches, and can see it also came out very beautiful. For the back facing, I used my hemming gum to hold it down. This is so that it doesn't come out of the clothes, so you want to make sure to press it very well. So our gown is ready. I'm going to turn this gown, and then I'll wear it on the mannequin so that we can see the final outcome of the gown. Thank you. So here is the final outcome of our gown. It came out so beautiful. The Ankara combination with the lace is just so perfect. And see how the V came out very well. The flare at the down part is not left out. The sleeves with the flare, everything came out so beautiful. I enjoyed making this outfit. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you learned a thing or two. If you did, please make sure to like this video, share this video with your friends, and do not forget to subscribe to my channel. Also ensure to leave a comment. A nice comment wouldn't be a bad idea. Thank you so much for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.